Well, good morning. It is 10 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock on this Friday morning, the 8th day of May. We finished off our National Day of Prayer, which we've been looking for weeks. And now we're headed to rededicate 250 a week from this Sunday. 37 almost 38 degrees here in Las Vegas, New Mexico. 57% humidity. On this Friday morning, the 8th day of May 2026, we are in the 17th chapter of the book of Leviticus. And truthfully, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't get any easier. I thought talking about leprosy, leprosy and other diseases, communicable diseases that were out over there was enough. And I thought, oh, no, from now, and then you say, what in the world? I was looking at the next 6-8 chapters or so, and I said, well, maybe we'll skip the rest of Leviticus. I was telling Andrew yesterday, Andrew Garcia and I spent a little bit of time together yesterday after National Day of Prayer, and he has a class, he has a Bible study on Fridays at his barbershop. And getting a good turnout. And he was talking to me because, younger teacher, but pretty seasoned in the Word. And, I tell him, dude, and he says, that's exactly the same way it is for me. You show up sometimes and you have no idea where you're going. You have some scriptures. You have a lot of study to go behind it. But still, that doesn't mean that you have much. Anyway, let's see if we have anything for you on this Friday morning, which is our abbreviated day for our study, because we will be cutting off a little bit before 7 o'clock and just checking it out. The 17th chapter of the book of Leviticus is where we're at this morning. Jennifer is with us on YouTube and Jeff on Facebook. So it looks like we're connected up, and hopefully the audio's okay. We've been trying to keep that audio. We've got it. I mean, it's been much better. I believe it has been. Anyway, good morning, Rosemary Fernandez. Glad that you're along with us this morning. Chapter 17, the book of Leviticus. What the heck is this all about? Well, let me tell you one thing. I need to go to the 15th chapter of Acts, okay? Because I am a New Testament believer, as all of you are that are out there, okay? And when you start talking about the law, the Mosaic law, it's very, very compelling, but it can be very confusing at the same time. Because we believe in 66 books written by 40 authors, okay? And we don't believe in extra books of the Old Testament, like even the book of Enoch, that it is inspired. There's some good stuff in the book of Enoch, but I tell you personally, here's some people, I don't believe. Okay. Let me tell you what I believe. Is if God would have wanted the book of Enoch to be the 67th book of the Bible, it would be there. Okay? You can go to the first real book of Enoch and you can get some stuff out of there. It's the same way you get out of a commentary or anything else, the book that you read, like maybe Two Chairs we're going through on the men's Bible study. A lot of stuff out there. But when we talk about the scriptures, for me, it's 66 books written by 40 authors. And I had this conversation yesterday with Andrew. We weren't arguing about books of the Bible or anything like that, but I was telling him, listen, I have talked to Jewish people before and about their Old Testament. The Old Testament that the Jewish people have is the same Old Testament that you have in the New King James Bible that we have in front of us. Okay? They might have it different. They don't have a First and Second Kings. It's just, and they even call their books different. Well, the Jewish Old Testament, well, the Jewish don't have a New Testament if you're just Orthodox Jews, okay? But the Jewish Bible, I guess is usually the Tanakh, the Torah, all of that comprises the Bible for the Jewish people, which we are in when we got covering the book of Leviticus. Their names are different of the Bible, okay? They pick usually the first 2 or 3 words, and that's the name of each book. And I don't believe that they have a First and Second Samuel. They might just have a Samuel, but it's probably not even called Samuel, but it's all compiled in one. But it's still the same. If you look at it, it's the same. Not even chapters and verses, because but it's the same as what we have today. Our New Testament, okay, it's the New Testament. There's not a lot of disagreement. Oh, well, there has been, the Da Vinci Code. They tore that one up. It didn't take them long to get that one out of there. But you understand what I mean. So for me, ladies and gentlemen, if you've been listening to my program, you understand, and I don't think this is the first time I've ever said this before, 66 books written by 40 authors, Genesis to Revelation. And that's what's in front of us. That's where I believe is inspired, Holy Spirit, Word of God, given to men by the Holy Spirit, that draws out this life that we have with us. But we have the Mosaic law that we're going through in the book specifically of Leviticus, which you are in, the 17th chapter of the book of Leviticus today. And there's stuff there that, as Gentiles, there's, we don't know what to do with it sometimes. Well, the early church knew what to do with it. If we go to the 15th chapter of the book of Acts. Okay, another thing is about other books that some people consider as scripture. Okay, did Jesus quote from Sirach or other? I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, did he or didn't he? Now, let's get into what I'm trying to say. Now that I got everybody all, I don't even want to eat breakfast anymore. Throw the yogurt away. Okay. Just saying. And I went to Bible school. It was a 3-year program, and I lasted 3 months. Okay. So don't consider me as the doctor of anything. Just a guy who's been reading the Bible for a few decades and teaching it and going through it. And anyway, here's what the early church, during the midst of a very, very a serious controversy, came up with. Okay? So, what was the controversy? The controversy was, what do we do with the Gentiles? What do we do with the Gentiles? And ladies and gentlemen, this is a controversy still today. What do we do with them? These Gentiles are getting saved in Antioch, and now they're going over to Cyprus, and from Cyprus they're going to Perga, and from Perga they're going over to Derbe and all. What do we do with these Gentiles that are coming to faith in the Jewish Messiah, the Christ, the one who gave his life willingly and shed his blood for the forgiveness, for the payment of our sin, and rose from the dead on the 3rd day? What do we do with these Gentiles? Because you know what a lot of the Jewish believers wanted to do. They wanted to circumcise them, and they wanted to bring them under the Mosaic covenant. Okay? Are you with me this morning? They wanted to bring them under the Mosaic covenant. And you go to the 15th chapter of Acts, and it was, I could see knives out, baby. I could see a lot of people, just probably the same type of environment that was when our Constitution 250 years ago was being written in Philadelphia, and people had their ideas, the who's, the whys, and they're dividing against words and everything. And there's a big discussion, putting it lightly, we'll call it an argument to kind of dress it up the way it really is. Good morning, Kathleen. Oh, what do we do with these Gentiles? And here is what the church said. Known to God, verse 18, known to God from eternity are all his works. Therefore, I judge. This is what the church came up with, and James, being the spokesman of the church, said, therefore I judge that we should not trouble those from among the Gentiles who are turning to God, but that we write to them to abstain from things polluted to idols, from sexual immorality, from things strangled, and from blood. For Moses has throughout many generations those who preach him in every city, being read in the synagogues and every Sabbath. Moses has had throughout many generations. They've been preaching it for years. Out and around the world, wherever the Jewish people were, they were preaching it. He says these Gentiles are coming in. In fact, there's one place that says, why do we want to lay a burden upon them which neither we nor our fathers were able to bear? So that's definitive stuff out there. But here's what the apostles and the leaders of the church decided was the will of God for believers. Abstain from things polluted by idols. Stay away from idolatry. Stay away from sexual immorality. Stay from things strangled and from blood. Let's go to the 17th chapter of the book of Leviticus. Let's get into it for just a little while. Okay? Sorry, that's the 16th. That's the 17th there. No eyes out there because I did my job on my side. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to Aaron, to his sons. I have to put this in context for you, ladies and gentlemen. Well, the best that I can. Like if I'm speak to Aaron, to his sons, to all the children of Israel, and say to them, this is the thing which the Lord has commanded, saying, whatever man of the house of Israel who kills an ox or lamb or goat in the camp, who kills it outside the camp, does not bring it to the door of the tabernacle of meeting to offer an offering to the Lord before the tabernacle of the Lord, the guilt of bloodshed shall be imputed to that man. Now, what I understand about this half of the chapter is that we're talking about sacrifice. We're talking about, you can kind of read this at the beginning, the first couple of verses or so. Good morning, Yolanda. And you can say, well, is every animal that's ever going to be slaughtered for food, does it have to go to the gate of the tabernacle first? When you got 2 million people and we like lamb chops, and other, delectables, I don't think that's even practical. I think this is just talking about offerings, like it says in verse 4. Verse 4 says, and does not bring it to the door of the tabernacle of meeting to offer an offering to Yahweh before the tabernacle of the Lord, the guilt of his blood shall be imputed to that man. Okay. How many phones do you have, Kathleen? My gosh. Anyway, that's my take on it. I read it, and I read it. I pray over it. I even look at a little commentary here and there. Try not to get too much into commentaries. I don't listen to somebody else's YouTube teaching on the 17th chapter of Leviticus. They're out there. There are lots of them that are out there. But what is this talking about? I believe it's talking about idolatry. It's talking about sacrifice. And it's talking about God's order. We went to the 15th chapter of book of Acts. God had an order. And these people were very specific in understanding what the order of God was. It is scriptural, and that is where we hang our hat on and saying, okay, God, that's what you said for the Gentiles. And even the Jews said, I like that. Because you know what the Jews said? I've already quoted it. Neither us nor our fathers have been able to toe the line. And now we find out that there's this grace that's always been available to us. But let's get into our subject. He says, speak to Aaron, to all the children. This is the thing which the Lord has commanded. Whatever man of the house of Israel who kills an ox or lamb or goat in the camp, or who kills it outside the camp and does not bring it to the door of the tabernacle of the meeting to offer an offering to the Lord before the tabernacle of the Lord, the guilt of blood shall be imputed to that man. I believe we're talking here about sacrifice. I hear we're talking about you just don't decide you're going to sacrifice in your own backyard. You don't just decide under the Mosaic covenant that you're just going to go out the camp and that you're going to offer a sacrifice. You're going to do it God's way. You're going to do it according to God's order, God's priesthood.
Be thou my vision, O Lord of my heart. Not be all else to me, save that thou art. Thou my best thought by day or by night. Waking or sleeping, thy presence my light. And thou my true word, I ever with thee, and thou with me, Lord. Thou my great Father, and I thy true Son. Thou in me dwelling, and I with thee one. I heed not, nor man's empty praise. Thou mine inheritance now and always. Thou and thou only first in my heart. High King of heaven, my treasure thou art.
30 minutes after the hour, Fernando Ortega slowly coming to the end of his song, Be Thou My Vision. 42 degrees is the current temperature. Looking for a high today of 77 with sunny skies. North wind 5 to 10, becoming south in the afternoon. Tomorrow sunny, high near 81. Light and variable wind becoming west 10 to 15 miles per hour tomorrow morning. And then on Sunday, 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon with mostly sunny skies, high near 70 degrees, north wind 5 to 15 miles per hour. So we're looking at 77, then 81, then 70 over the next 3 days for a high. And we are going back into the 17th chapter of the book of Leviticus. Where's all our regular people this morning, Jeff? What did you do with them, man? Yolanda's here, Kathleen's here, Rosemary's there, Jennifer's there, but some of these other people, were they taking the day off? What do they think this is anyway? Let's get back into it. Maybe they knew this. I don't know. I don't know about that part of the chapter. Well, I'm trying to put it into context. Good morning, Ernie. Good morning. So, what do we got? We got this idol thing going on. This is what I believe. It's going to. We're going to get a little bit deeper into it in just a few verses. Whenever a man of the house of Israel who kills an ox or lamb or goat in the camp, who kills it or who kills it outside the camp and does not bring it to the door of the tabernacle of meeting to offer an offering to the Lord before the tabernacle of the Lord, the guilt of bloodshed shall be imputed to that man. So you could read this, and some people have read this and say, every animal that had to be slain had to be brought before the tabernacle of meeting. That's super impractical. Get one lamb, one goat, no refrigeration, so you got to use it right away, unless you're going to make carne seca out of it, okay? That's a possibility. And how many people are going to be able to eat off of one animal, and then divide that by 2 million, or divide it into 2 million? Excuse me. This morning, good morning, Andrea. Good morning, Tommy. It's about time Tommy joins in and lets us know that he's out there. And it's to me, that's super impractical. You only got 3 priests. You got Aaron and his 2 sons. Everyone is going to come in. No. It's talking about idolatry. Oh yeah, I'm going to do it my way. I feel guilty. I'm going to go kill a lamb in the backyard. I'm going to go do no. He says that man shall be cut off from among his people. The guilt of bloodshed, and blood is a big theme in this chapter, ladies and gentlemen. You get to the second half of the book, and the chapter, and I don't know if we're going to get there today. It's not a long chapter, but at the same time, blood is a big theme about this, and it's been a big theme throughout a lot of. But now we're going to get real specific about blood. Why blood? Big questions. Flo and Joe are here. It just took them a minute to get in. See, if I beg enough, they'll come. Love you guys, all of you. Whatever a man of the house of Israel who kills an ox or lamb or goat in the camp, who kills it outside, that we've already discussed what is clean and what is unclean. The ox, the lamb, the goat are clean. They were okay for their consumption. Okay? Who kills it outside the camp, who does not bring it to the door of the tabernacle. We already know that in the Levitical law, not in every offering, there was going to be some offerings, so parts of the animal were going to be returned back to the offerer so that they could consume them. Okay? But if Fulano wants to do it in his back. I don't want to go to the priest. It's so far from this part of the camp all the way to that part of the camp. And this is stuff that's going to be in Canaan. When they get into Canaan, I'm going to have to go to Jerusalem. I'll just do it here. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot get lazy in our relationship with our God. Why don't you? Well, I'm going to go outside the camp. What does it mean to go outside the camp? Why would a man want to go outside the camp? You're going to find out. Once again, verse 3, verse 4, verse 5. Whatever man of the house of Israel, of those in the covenant, who kills an ox, lamb, goat in the camp or kills it outside the camp, does not bring it to the door of the tabernacle of meeting to offer an offering to the Lord before the tabernacle of the Lord, the guilt of bloodshed shall be imputed to that man. He has shed blood, and that man shall be cut off from among his people, to the end that the children of Israel may bring their sacrifices which they offer in the open field. There it's talking about sacrifices. To the end that the children of Israel may bring their sacrifices which they offer in the open field, that they may bring them to the Lord at the door of the tabernacle of meeting, to the priest, to offer them as peace offerings to the Lord. So, talking about offerings, and we talked about peace offerings, we talked about burnt offerings, we talked about sin offerings, we talked about guilt offerings, we talked about thank offerings, we talked about atonement, we talked about all that stuff, and here it is bringing it up again. And the priest shall sprinkle the blood on the altar of the Lord at the door of the tabernacle of meeting, and burn the fat for a sweet aroma to the Lord. All of this is under the sacrificial system of the Mosaic covenant. Now, I don't know, maybe they were going to bring, for every animal that they killed, they were going to bring a certain amount to the priest. But what's the priest going to do with all of that stuff? You're talking about 2 million people. You're talking about how many flocks are they going to have? Or are they just going to be eating yucca in the middle of that's all they're going to be is vegetarians? Oh, dude, that's not what it says. Anyway, in my consideration, we're talking about people that are trying to do it the Frank Sinatra way again, trying to get lazy, trying to say, man, I have an offering and I have a little bit, let's call it a guilt offering. I have some guilt over there, so go get the lamb and let's take care of it. But I'm not going to go all the way over there. You're just compounding is what you're doing. Is your guilt is what you're doing, just compounding it. Okay, but as we say in Spanish, a mi punto de vista, which means this is my point of view. The priest shall sprinkle the blood on the altar of the Lord at the door of the tabernacle and burn the fat, because it's an offering and you're taking it there. Imagine how much work they had to do just with the regular offerings, with people bringing guilt and sin and thank offerings to the tabernacle all the time. That was enough to keep them busy 24/7. We ain't got a bunch of priests. We don't got a bunch of sons of Aaron. We got 2 of them who passed away because they decided to offer strange fire unto the Lord. Talked about that at least a couple of times. And the priest shall sprinkle the blood on the altar of the door of this tabernacle and meeting, and burn the fat for a sweet aroma to the Lord. They shall no more offer their sacrifices to demons. Oh, what? He says, they shall no more offer their sacrifices to demons. So if this is strictly about offerings, and the qualification here is offering the way you want to or offering the way God wants to, because you're in conflict with what God wants you to do, even though we've been very specific of the who, where, when, why, all of that stuff. He says, maybe you're sacrificing to a demon. Maybe. Just just maybe, all of a sudden, verse 7 nearly opens something up. They shall no more offer their sacrifices to demons. When you took it to the priest, if it was your offering, whatever type of offering it was, when you took it to the priest, it was for Yahweh. It wasn't for Baal. It wasn't for Ashtoreth. It wasn't for Molech. It wasn't for, what's the name of the guy from the Philistine, the Philistine god that fell down. This shall be a statute forever for them throughout their generations. You are not going to offer your sacrifice to demons. Where did they learn that? Well, we'll get into that in a little while. You shall say to them, whatever man of the house of Israel and of the strangers who dwell among you who offers a burnt offering or sacrifice, and does not bring it to the door of the tabernacle, meaning to offer to the Lord, that man shall be cut off from his people. If he's caught in idolatry, what did we hear in the 15th chapter? Gentiles, stay away from idolatry. I judge. Okay? I judge, verse 19, chapter 15, book of Acts, I judge that we should not trouble those among Gentiles who are turning to God, but that we write to them to abstain from things polluted to idols. Stay away from idolatry. Oh, does that mean that they can't be they're not blood sacrificing? That's waning. That's really on the last pages of the Old Testament. What I mean, the end of an era, not the last pages, excuse me, the end of an era. It won't be long before there will not even be a temple in Jerusalem, and there will not be a burnt offering altar and all that stuff going on. And people are going to get saved. Gentiles and Jews are going to get saved, and they're going to find out, dude, it's a new day, baby. Here is the fullness of what it's talking about. What do we write to them? Stay away from things polluted to idols, because an idol in its own. An idol in its own is nothing. Idol in its own is a chunk of wood or some molded something, clay or bronze or gold or silver. On its own, it is nothing. But you know what? The devil will get into it just like the Wizard of Oz. The big voice booming from behind the curtain was just a man that was there. Well, the opposite of that is that it's just a little golden something or another, but behind it the demon will show, well, I can trick this guy, man. I can talk back to this guy, and I can lead him astray. And the church leaders told the Gentiles, stay away from idolatry, from sexual immorality, from things strangled, and from blood. So there was very little things. They said, well, you got to put your hat on, and you have to do this, and you have to. No. They said, listen, verse 10, it was the one where it said, now therefore, why do you test God by putting a yoke on the neck of the disciples, which neither our fathers nor we were able to bear? And that says a lot. Okay? Dagon, thank you very much, Joe. Okay. They shall no more offer their sacrifices to demons. Okay? Now, where did they learn that stuff from? I think we know where they learned that stuff from. What do you mean? Well, and always kind of very in the background are the mixed multitude. Now, the mixed multitude came with the Hebrew people out, and there was a way for them to come under covenant, the mixed multitude, but they never really assimilated. All they did was just come on because they thought it was a good idea, and all these things are coming their way. And it's very easy for the mixed multitude, who lead people astray all the time. The mixed multitude leads people astray all the time. And they said, well, in Egypt, we used to just go out underneath a pinon tree someplace, and we do the sacrifice under the cedar tree, or the blah blah, or by. No, that's not what God said. God says you bring it to the tabernacle, you offer it to Yahweh. You're offering it unto demons. You shall say to them, whatever man of the house of Israel, verse 8, or the strangers who dwell among you, who offer burnt offering or sacrifice, it does not bring it to the door of the tabernacle of meeting to offer to the Lord, that man shall be cut off from among his people. Am I kicking the mixed multitude to the curb? If they remain the mixed multitude, yes. If they come through the door that is open to them by the Mosaic covenant to be part of it, and they adhere to it, Obed-Edom was going to be one of those guys. We've been talking about him on Sundays. Whatever. Now here's verse 10. We'll have about 10 minutes left, okay? Whatever man of the house of Israel, or of the strangers who dwell among you, who eats any blood, I will set my face against that person who eats blood. I will cut him off from among his people. Second part of the 17th chapter book of Leviticus. What did it talk? It says, stay away from idolatry. Really, that's what it's doing. It's staying away from idolatry. Anything that we put above God. God, love him with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength. Everything's going to be okay. It's talking about what are idols. Anything that we put above God. Whenever, you know how to check idolatry? Check a person's schedule and check their checkbook out. We can find out a lot by where you spend your time and where you spend your money. I don't do that, okay? You don't come to Cornerstone Church and we say, okay, now show me your schedule and where you've been over the last 72 hours, and show me your checkbook and let me know where you've been. We don't do checkbooks anymore, old school, okay? But you know what I'm talking about. Where you spend your money, where you spend your time. Tells you a lot about where your heart is at. So, we have the 15th chapter of Acts, kind of looking at it with what's going on over here. Idolatry, the demons, you're sacrificing to demons, man. That's what they did in Egypt. That's what they're doing in Canaan land. That's why we're going in there. We're cleansing the land that I gave to Father Abraham. But I want you to be clean. I want you to, whatever man of the house of Israel, the strangers who dwell among you, verse 10, who eats any blood, he says, that you don't eat blood. I will set my face against that person who eats blood. I will cut him off from among his people. Why? For the life of the flesh is in the blood. I ain't no doctor. You know my story. Barely got out of high school. Really? For the life of the flesh is in the blood. Well, a doctor will probably I'm sure doctors have written books over the years, over the generations, said, man, in the blood, you don't eat the blood because of this and this. So God is trying to keep his people healthy, okay? But he's also trying to keep them holy. Because God is all about life, and life is in the blood. And he says, you stay away from eating blood. The life of the flesh. So and I'm sure there's a lot of healthy, super healthy I don't know people. I don't know people who eat blood. I know there's in Spanish, the old people used to eat morcidas. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. Blood sausage, I think is what it was. I've seen people fry blood before, never tasted it, but very, very rare, very rare. And you go to the 15 chapters, says stay away from idols and stay away from eating blood, from consuming blood. That's most of the things that we're telling them. Okay, you want to go there because I forgot exactly what they were. Let me put a bookmark there. Right click and then left click here, and it says this is what we tell them: abstain from things polluted to idols, from sexual immorality. That's chapter 18 and 19. From things strangled and from blood. You know, that's what Moses said. Yeah, but even God said it before there was a Moses. I am the Lord your God. You shall have no other gods before me. That's what God told Moses, or something like that. I don't know if I quoted it exactly. Now he says, the life of the flesh is in the blood. Well, what does that mean? It means stay away from it. And even the early church told the Gentiles, stay away from it. And you have to understand there was a lot of idolatry mixed in with all of this stuff. You want to put you have to put it in the context of what was going on in places like Corinth and Ephesus and places like that, where the Gentiles were coming to the Lord in droves over the first generation and two. I mean, for the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you upon the altar to make atonement for your souls. That's what it's for, to make atonement for your souls. It's not for you to eat. For it is the blood that makes atonement for the soul. There's life in there, and it's not, I would say it's probably not healthy, and I don't want to try it. I don't want to even get there. It doesn't sound very appealing to me to begin with. But well, you've never tasted it. Yeah, I've never tasted before, never will. There's some things you just got to take. Yeah. Therefore, I said to the children of Israel, no one among you shall eat blood, nor shall any stranger who dwells among you eat blood. Mixed multitude, and those who are coming in. The Gentiles who are coming in, that's what the stranger really was all about. Whatever man of the children of Israel, or the strangers who dwell among you, who hunts and catches any animal or bird that may be eaten. We're talking about clean animals. We've gone through the clean versus the unclean. Previous chapters, he shall pour out its blood and cover it with dust. Okay. You just, you slaughter it. You get the blood out. Okay. Well, what if there's one little? I don't know about that stuff. I think God knows exactly, and he figured this thing out in the middle, at the beginning, when he said, let there be, and there was. And you just prepare it the way you prepare it. Being in the meat cutter and being in the butcher and stuff like that, been around a lot of that stuff. Killed animals before, drained the blood from them, put them in the walk-in cooler, and then cut them up into chops and burger and roasts and stew meat and all that stuff. But whatever man of the children of Israel, every person, or the strangers who dwell amongst you, who hunts and catches any animal or bird that may be eaten, he shall pour out its blood and cover it with dust. It's done. Andrea, what does Exodus 23 says? Let's go over there real quick. I'm running out of time. But Exodus 20, verse 3 says, you shall have no other gods before me. That's like an umbrella over them in this place where we're at. Thank you, Andrea. Yep, you shall know. Choose. What God are you going to serve? Whom you will serve? It wasn't that Joshua's going to get the people before he passes away. They've been in the wilderness for a generation. He says, as for me and he says, choose you today whom you will serve. As me and my household, we will serve the Lord. Whatever man of the children of Israel or of the strangers who dwell among you, who hunts and catches any animal, pour out its blood, cover it with dust, for it is the life of all flesh. And probably the blood has a lot of stuff in it that its blood sustains its life. Therefore I said to the children of Israel, you shall not eat the blood of any flesh, for the life of all flesh is its blood. Whoever eats it shall be cut off. Yeah. Yeah, he said, and every person who eats what dies, every person who eats what died naturally or was torn by beasts, whether is a native of your own country or a stranger, he shall both wash his clothes, bathe in water, be unclean until evening, then he shall be clean. But if he does not wash them or bathe his body, then he shall bear his guilt. We have a question. Okay. Who are the strangers? Whether he is a native of your own country or a stranger. Who were the strangers? Okay. The strangers were these that came in to the covenant that weren't of the natural born sons of Abraham. Okay. They were those that were Gentiles. But remember, as we say already, there was a door for the Gentiles to come underneath the Mosaic covenant. There's examples of those in the Old Testament of people that said, you know what, we're leaving our idolatry. Your God is the true God. And Moses would say, come on in. The priest would say, you can come, because there was a door open, and that's who the strangers were. Mixed multitude were part of the strangers. Now, not all of the mixed multitude came under the Mosaic covenant. All they did, not all of them, but some of them, what they did is they just caused trouble for the Israelis out in the wilderness is all they did. That is the 17th chapter of the book of Leviticus. Monday will be chapter 18. Do your homework, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great weekend.